The problem I think we have is that most of us are not suffering because of stuff that's happened to us in our lives. We're actually suffering because we can't actually accept that it happened. We can't accept circumstances. We can't accept the past. We can't accept other people. And we don't like the idea that that may fall on us because it almost sounds like we're blaming us, right? But it's not really blame, it's more recognition. It's recognition that the emotional pain that we're feeling today is fueled not by the past itself, but by our refusal to let the past be the past. I know people in their 50s and 60s that are still dwelling on stuff that their grandmother said to them when they were 10. I mean, people in my family, like grandma's long gone. Why are you still bringing this up? And these people are bringing it up because some part of them are still waiting for it to get fixed. One particular family member talks all the time about the trauma that he endured when his grandmother would say insulting things. He wants someone to validate that hurt. But that doesn't mean that the pain goes away because that's not what he actually needs. He doesn't need me to tell him, oh, yeah, what a bitch, right? What he needs is acceptance. What we all need is acceptance. We don't need to accept that we were hurt, but we need to accept reality that it happened. This person was like that. It's never going to change. Can't do anything about it. That part's over. Now, that doesn't mean that this person or you or me or whoever can't feel sad or angry about whatever happened. It means that you can stop reliving it as if it's still up for negotiation because what happens when we don't accept is that we start negotiating with reality. If I just explain myself better, if I stay angry long enough, maybe that person will change. If I never forgive, then they'll understand how much they hurt me. But none of those things actually bring us peace. Instead, they just kind of keep us locked in place, angry, bitter, disappointed, hurt, tired, resentful. It doesn't work. In recovery, we value acceptance. Acceptance is a huge thing for us. And, depending on what fellowship you're in, you might hear things like, acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. And it kind of sounds like too simple, like really. Sounds like one of those like slogans, but it's not about letting things go in some like vague way. What it means is that if I don't accept people, places, things, and situations as they actually are right now, I will always be trying to bend the world around my will. And that will exhaust me, you, whoever's doing it. It will keep us stuck and it will make us resentful. It will convince you that you're a victim forever. Take a minute and think about someone in your life who's really draining. Like this person drains you. They're repeatedly showing you who they are, and you keep kind of hoping that they'll be different. Could be anyone, right? Maybe you have like a selfish niece or a critical parent or a friend who disappears when it matters. It's tempting to think that if you just keep pointing out the issue, they'll finally get it. But if they haven't changed by now, they're probably not going to. And when you refuse to accept that, it's kind of like banging your head on a wall and expecting the wall to move. It's not happening. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't have boundaries because, acceptance is acceptance is actually what allows healthy boundaries to form. Because without acceptance, your boundaries are really just going to become these attempts to control the people and situations around you. So, if you keep acting like this, I'll punish you, however that may look in whatever situation. But when acceptance is at play, that energy can shift, right? It's more like, I see who you are, and now I'm going to choose how close I stand to you. One is manipulation, and the other one is clarity. Acceptance also doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean that whatever happened to you or however someone treated you was okay. It doesn't mean that the way they treated you was fair. It just means that you stopped arguing with reality and started protecting your peace. Psychologically, non-acceptance actually shows up in some really damaging ways. People, get stuck in resentment, and these people often think that they're strong for doing so, but they're just carrying old pain. They think it's a good thing. They're just carrying it. They bring it into every conversation, every decision, every relationship. And you can spot them by the way they talk about the same 5 things every time you see them, right? They're emotionally time locked. they're physically aging, but psychologically they're kind of frozen in the same few defining moments that they never accepted. You must know these people. And maybe you do it too. I do sometimes, right? Maybe you keep expecting someone to eventually be different. Maybe you keep replaying something that happened because you believe if you could just, make sense of it, you'd feel better. Or maybe, like I was for a long time, maybe you're stuck in a cycle of blaming your past for the person you are now. But here is the truth, do with it what you will, but there is no amount of rumination that will make the past less painful. And there is no amount of control that will make people act right or the way you think they should act. So acceptance becomes really critical. And what does acceptance actually look like when it's in action? Well, it looks like uh, this happened. I don't like it, but I don't want to live in denial about it anymore. It's about walking away from a person who will never love you right. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you love yourself enough to stop begging. And that doesn't only have to be romantic love. It's also realizing that the apology may never come. It probably won't. The recognition, probably not coming either. And your healing is not going to wait on those things. It's uncomfortable. Over the years, I've grown to accept people, and people think I'm crazy. Like, why do you accept that? Well, because I want to feel at peace, because I'm flawed too, and I want people to accept me, right? But when we're accepting things, right, acceptance requires a little bit of grief, right? You kind of have to grieve the version of your life that you thought you'd have, or that relationship, or whatever it is. Maybe the version of people you'd hope this person would become, right? The version of yourself you wanted to be by now. And once you do, you get your life back. And that's where the actual control is. The the irony is we avoid acceptance because it feels like loss, but what we lose is the illusion, and what we gain is presence. Think about this. What are you still refusing to accept? Whose behavior are you still trying to change with your anger? What story from your past are you still carrying as an identity? What would your life look like if you just accepted what happened, who this person is, drew your own boundaries, created your own, self love, right? You don't need to tolerate abuse, right? You don't need to minimize your pain. You just need to accept it, right? You can only control what you can control. And that's where the freedom starts. It's not when the world becomes fair. The world's not fair. It's not when, oh, that person finally gets what they did to me. It's when you stop needing that person to get it. That is freedom. And acceptance is not a passive act. It's actually really powerful and really strong. It's not giving up, it's growing up, right? It's like this doorway between who you've been and who you can become. I know that sounds a little cheesy, but if you're suffering, right, this is where you start. Acceptance is the first real act of peace, and everything else comes after that. And you're like, well, how do I just accept? Just make a decision. It's as simple as that. You make a decision. This is who this person is. This is what happened. I'm not going to let that bother me anymore. I'm going to move on. It's okay. It's not okay, but it's going to be okay.